What's up, everybody? I've got a very important message for you today about taking action. But first, a quick story. So now that Thanksgiving is over, it's time to put up the family Christmas tree. So for me, growing up, the day after Thanksgiving, we would all pile into the car. We would head to a Christmas tree farm. We'd try and find the perfect Christmas tree. Then we'd cut it down, throw it on top of the car, drive home, and set it up that day. And as the baby of the family, I'm the youngest of three. I'm pretty sure I would be complaining the whole time about why are we doing this? But over time, I learned to love that routine. And now that it's that time of year, it's time to set up our family tree in our house. And Emily and I decided that instead of going to a Christmas tree farm and chopping one down like I just described there, we opted to go with the fake Christmas tree. And now I always used to dislike fake Christmas trees because of that memory of that tradition that I had in my head. But now that we have a kid, it's just so much more convenient. It's just way easier to set up that fake Christmas tree. So last night, Emily asked me to set it up. And so the tree has been in our storage room next to my office. And when I went up there to find the tree, I found some gear that I had completely forgotten about. So I had found some podcasting gear that I purchased almost a year and a half ago. See, when I first decided that I was going to start a podcast, I researched a bunch of articles and blogs online, and they all told me how important audio sound is when getting started with your podcast. So because of that, I bought a really nice recording mic, I bought a nice pair of headphones, and I bought a pop filter, which is something that's supposed to eliminate the popping noises when you sing or speak into the mic. So I spent a couple of $100 on that equipment, and guess what I did with it? Absolutely nothing. How many episodes do you think I recorded with that equipment? None. And I think this is really important because the problem is that sometimes we use this gear as an excuse for not getting started, and we let it get in the way of our dreams or our goals, whereas the reality is that sometimes it just complicates things. So if I were to record a podcast with all of that equipment, I would need to set up the mic with my MacBook. I would need to set up the pop filter. I would need to record the audio with the audio editing software like Audacity. I would then need to export those files from the recording software and then manually upload those files to different platforms. So I had the gear, but I didn't really want to go through all of those steps. So then earlier this month, when I committed to publishing a podcast episode every single day for a year, I knew that I would need to keep it super simple. So I haven't touched the recording mic, the pop filters, the editing software, none of that. I've been using an app called Anchor.fm, which is just an app on my phone. And the tagline is the easiest way to make a podcast. And the way that it works is all that I do is I open up the app, I tap record, and it records my voice. Then I tap publish, I type in the title of it and the details, and it automatically distributes the episode across 7 podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and all of the others. It's literally so easy that I don't have any excuse not to do it. And I think because of that, I've been able to publish 28 episodes in a row. And I think that's a key part of it, is just keeping it simple. So why am I telling you all this? I think that there's a really valuable lesson here that's worth sharing. So much of the time, when we get started with something, we think that we need all of the right gear to get started on that dream or that goal. It's like, oh, I can't get started with a podcast unless I have all of the right gear. It's the exact same thing with triathlons. Oh, I can't sign up for a triathlon unless I have all of the right gear. And that's simply not true. When I ask people if they would ever do a triathlon, they have so many excuses. They say, I don't have a bike, I don't have aero bars, I don't have a wetsuit. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like for me, I didn't even own a road bike when I got started. I just got started with the equipment that I had around me, which was I was just riding a stationary bike at the gym in college. And then for my first triathlon, I just borrowed a bike from a family friend for the first try. And then a year later, I got my own hybrid bike. So it wasn't even a road bike. It was, it was a lower budget bike, and it didn't have clip-ons, it didn't have aero bars, and I didn't have fancy bike shoes. It was only a couple years after that, after I had done 4 or 5 or 6 races, where I bought a new road bike and I got some aero bars for it. But the key thing is that it wasn't until after I got started and was already committed and was already making progress that I bought the gear that I needed to help me get to the next level. So I want to bring it back to you. What's something that you have wanted to do? Maybe it's endurance related, like a triathlon. Maybe it's a half Ironman. Maybe it's a half marathon, or maybe it's something else. Whatever it is, get started now. Like seriously, like today, make it happen. And just don't wait until you have all of the gear that you think that you need, because you just simply don't need the fancy gear. What you need to do is to get started now and to take action. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that helps, and I hope you all have an amazing day.